Yeah, I got your back. Don't smile, I'm still mad at you.
I thought we were having a moment.
Moment's over, shut up.
Hey guys, it's the Pink King here. Finally, after such a long wait, we have a new episode of Helluva Boss to watch. With Season 2, Episode 10, Ghost. Can't say that, YouTube will ban me. The standard Halloween special episode for the series. Yeah, I'm not sure why, but they love to release episodes on Halloween night. But yes, a new episode has been released, and a long one at that, with this one clocking in just under 30 minutes, and after watching the new episode, what did I think of it? It was conflicting. On the one hand, the episode was pretty good, but if anything, seeing how good this episode was made me question whether it's too little too late, and perhaps exposes how much Helluva Boss as a series has wasted its potential in such a large degree. But what do I mean by this? Well, let's go over the episode itself. This episode starts out initially pretty rough. Aside from Millie, most of what happens in the first half is just plain boring, with once again being about Blitzo feeling sorry for himself and how annoyingly overly sexual he is. Yeah, it all just feels recycled and like repurposed stuff from what we've seen before, and it starts this episode off in a very dull and uninteresting way, despite the interesting concept of them being in a haunted hotel. No, not that one. It's rather disappointing considering the second half of this episode is absolutely amazing. The visuals are played around with a lot more in this episode. The villain of this episode was very fun and interesting to watch, and how he messed with them. And the highlight of this episode was surprisingly the character drama. Blitz and Millie's dynamic in this episode is something we have not seen in prior episodes, and it's so refreshing as finally the characters talk to one another in a way that doesn't feel frustrating or forced. And that flashback scene was really nice, as it not only was showing us more about these characters and why they feel so close to each other, but it also moves the plot forward and it's relevant to what's going on in this episode, so it flows much more naturally and is far more engaging. In a series that's so afraid to do anything different, it's such a relief to finally have some real growth for our main characters, and not just constantly adding new things and new characters that won't get built up upon later on. It honestly caught me off guard how different both halves of this episode were. The first half was very dull and cliche, and the second was really engaging and cool to watch. To put in perspective, it's like the first half of this episode was a fanfic, you know, boring as ever, and the second half was Gravity Falls. It was that interesting. So if you haven't seen this episode yet, then take that into mind when watching it, because it goes from 0 to 100 very quickly. Real quick, if you're a fan of indie animation and want to support me, then go to the link in the description right now to watch my most recent episode of my animated series, Puzzle Pieces, a new take on horror that will be sure to terrify you to your core. So if you love indie animation and you want to support it, go watch my episode right now, link for that is in the description. Can't wait to see you there. So yeah, this episode was good, and it definitely is one of my favourites of Season 2. It's still not perfect though. The first half, as I said, is very slow and boring, and the villain, as fun as he is, makes very little sense at all. Why is he haunting a hotel? How did he get there? Why is he trying to kill the imps? Don't know. It's never explained or mentioned really. They briefly say what the type of demon he is for a second, but they act like it's something we already know, and like it's something we've known for a while, as if it's this big plot twist when they say it, when in reality, it comes out of nowhere. They really should have done better with setting him up, because it seems like they're trying to go for a plot twist, but they've done nothing to make it a twist. It just comes out of nowhere and you're expected to understand everything already, and that's not a good sign when you gotta do homework to understand what's going on in your episode. But the biggest thing I noticed from this episode was how it exposed the wasted potential of the entire series, because this episode was pretty good, but I can't help but feel we should have been getting stuff like this way sooner. We're nearing the end of Season 2, and we now only know how Blitzo and Millie met, and what their relationship together is. This is the type of stuff we should have been getting set up in Season 1, not at the end of Season 2, because at this point, most of everything that came before is practically filler. It doesn't move the story forward, it doesn't move these characters forward in any way. Most of what came before now, you don't really need to watch to understand what's going on. And that's not a good sign when you're nearing the end of Season 2. And arguably that's the biggest waste of potential here, that being the characters. For a show that relies on its characters rather than story so much, it really struggles as it has no idea how much to dedicate to one character or another. It has no idea what to do with its own characters since it has so many of them. So they just settle for recycling the same things that worked before in hopes that it will work again. And this episode proved that the writers definitely can make these characters work. Millie and Blitz's dynamic here is so good and it's interesting to watch because it's different, it's unique to not only these characters, so it brings something new to the table, so these writers can definitely make a new interesting dynamic, but I've chosen to stick to the same overused ones like Blitz and Stolas because of fan reactions and because they're lazy. They should be trying to give the audience stuff they don't know they wanted rather than stuff that they think they want. Because there's only so many times you can beat a dead horse before it begins to rot. So yeah, this episode, while not perfect, definitely shows that these writers can do a lot more than what they currently are. And that they should have been doing this sort of stuff so long ago by now, that at this point I have to ask, is it too little too late? Take another indie show, like The Amazing Digital Circus. That show only has 3 episodes so far, and we already have gotten several interesting and unique dynamics with the characters that moved the stories along, as well as fleshed out the world, and that show doesn't have the luxury of having many episodes as it wants, so what's Helluva Boss's excuse? But, overall, what do you guys think? Did you enjoy this new episode? Or did you find it weak? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one of your guys' comments, so let's talk about it. Don't forget as well, go to the link in the description to watch my new animated episode, Puzzle Pieces Episode 6, The One-Eyed Man. I can't wait to see you guys there, and with that, it's been the Pink King here, and I will see you all next time.
Woo!